Hi, this is GP here, and we are back with our session on D.I.L.R data sets, how to do them by the Jugaad method, how do you do it so that you end up saving time and hopefully end up doing one extra set at least in the paper. Okay. Now, and before we start the session, one very important announcement. November 16, please note down the date. We are conducting the Open CDC4, and what is important out here is to remember that this will be conducted in an actual exam center. It will give you an experience which is similar to that what you'll face on the day of CAT. So a couple of weeks before CAT, you can go through the same experience and take your CAT before CAT kind of stuff. Okay? And most importantly, you will attempt the paper in your time slot. So if you happen to have the morning 8:30 a.m. time slot, you will take this paper in a center at 8:30 a.m. only. So as per your time slot, you will get the time. You will take this paper. So how do you register? Very simple. Take a QR code. The QR code is here, and scan, register. And very, very important, if you're a Kyle Launcher classroom student, online classroom student, whether it's offline or online, it is free for you. So you should definitely be taking the paper. And secondly, if you happen to be someone who's enrolled with the test series, there's also a free waiver available to you, and there's only a nominal charge which you will be taking if you happen to be enrolled with the launcher for test series or VRC, D.I.L.R, 1000 or the other smaller program. Okay, so great. So QR code is in front of you. Scan karo, register karo, और 16 नवंबर को CAT before CAT ले लो. So let's continue. What are we looking at? We are looking at the D.I.L.R section, which in CAT 24 had 22 questions to be done, in 40 minutes, and we expect CAT 25 to be similar. Okay, so we don't expect the pattern to change as far as CAT 25 is concerned. Yeah, there might be a couple of questions here or there, but by and large pattern is likely to remain the same. Okay, and if you look at the last 5 years of CAT, the number of questions has varied from 20 to 24. The lowest has been 20 in CAT 21, 22, 23, and the highest has been in CAT 20, 20, 24. Okay. And hence, because it is 3 marks per question, the total marks of the paper also of the section have also varied. But one thing which has remained by and large constant is that if you get 50% marks, 50% marks. What are 50% marks? In CAT 2020, 50% marks would have been 36 marks. 21, 22, and 23 would be 30 marks. And in CAT 24, it would be 33 marks. So these are the 50% marks. Okay. And if you get 50% marks in any CAT paper, and the last 5 years CAT papers are in front of you in D.I.L.R, okay, you will end up with a score which is between 97.5 to 99.5 percentile. Okay. And which means with the method that I'm talking about, if you're able to do one extra set, okay, you will end up doing, you'll end up with a 99.9 odd percentile. And with very little effort. So the importance of what we are doing is it will help you do one extra set of data in CAT. Okay, and just to prove my point, look at this: 36 marks, which is 50% in 2020, would have got you a score of 99 percentile. 30 marks in CAT 21 would have got you something like a 97.5 percentile. 30 marks in CAT 2022 would have got you again a 99 percentile. And 30 marks in 1999 in CAT 23 would have got you a 99.4 percentile, almost 99.5 percentile. And last year, 33 marks or 50% score would have got you something again a 97.5 percentile. So you will be at 50% marks. You are between 97.5 to 99 percentile, 99.5 percentile, which means ये चीज याद रखो, मुझे पूरा पेपर नहीं करना है. If I am able to do half the paper correctly, or 2/3 of the paper correctly, I've done a terrific job of this paper. Okay. Now, what is the approach we talk about? Yeah, Jugaad approach hai. It is not a shortcut technique. It's a problem-solving approach. It's a process that you follow. Please remember, it's a process. If it's a process, you need to go through certain steps, and that is what we focus on. That we follow a particular process so that we are able to get a high score. The first part of that is, or one of the most important part is that we should use all available information. And I'm sure कई लोग बोलो यार क्या बकवास कर रहे हो? Yes, we use all available information. No, the reality is most of the students don't use all available information. For example, they don't look at the information available in the question and the choices. They don't factor that in, and hence they end up wasting a lot of time, or and they take more time to solve the set. Second thing is, our focus is always on solving questions. Okay? Now, again, I'm sure many people say, yes, our focus also, yes, your focus might be there, but you're not doing it the right way. For example, most of the students will say, let me create the table, fill up the table, and then go to the question. So most people will fill up the table and go here. So where is your focus? Not on solving question. Your focus is on filling up the table. To me, filling up the table in our process is incidental. So even if we have to fill up the table, we'll look at the requirement of the question, accordingly fill up the table. So filling up the table can be done, but we will do it as per the requirement of the questions. So it is the information which is available in the question which we'll use and solve the set in a way so that we need to do the bare minimum filling up the table also, which helps us save time. Okay? Chalo. So process kya hamara? It's simple, yeah. DILR. Decipher, identify, layout, and resolve. What do you mean by decipher? Understand, comprehend. So whatever data is given, please understand that part first, comprehend, and then you can look at doing anything else. अगर ये data ही नहीं समझा तो आगे क्या करोगे? So comprehension or understanding is the key thing. Once you have done the comprehension, and let me say most students at least spend some time, if not sufficient time, on comprehension or deciphering. Second part is what most students don't do, identify. Your job is to go through the questions, identify which are the questions which are easy. Identify which are the questions which are going to be time consuming or difficult. Identify which are the questions which are giving you extra information which will help you fill up the table. Identify which are the questions which should be solved first and which are the questions which should be kept for later. This is a task which most people don't do, and hence they struggle when they are looking at the data sets. Okay? And once you have identified all that information, your job is to tabulate the data, layouting, tabulate the data. But I don't make a blind table. I'll tabulate the data based on the identification. And when I'm solving the question also, it is solving based on the requirements of the question. So the table making and solving of questions and identification, these are three things which go hand in hand. Okay? And I'll show you how it is to be done. Okay? Chalo. I hope you have downloaded today's PDF and solve bhi kar liya data set. Agar solve nahi kiya, if you have not solved today's data set, please pause the video here, download the PDF and solve it yourself, then come back and restart the video. Checking my solution without doing the set yourself is a waste of time. Okay, you will not get the required amount of learning. So please go through. Please make sure you are able to you solve the set yourself before continuing with the video. नहीं मालूम है कैसे करना, कोई बात नहीं. Scan this QR code. Okay, if you scan this QR code, you will go to this platform called OpenCat, where entire CAT preparation you can do for free. From here, go on to the tab called GP ka Jugaad tab, and there you will have this D.I.L.R. Against each of these sessions, you will have a PDF and a video. Okay. For today's session, you will have only the PDF because the video to abhi ban raha hai na ye. So today's session, you will have to download this PDF, solve it, come back and watch the video. For the earlier session, if you have not done them, you can do the same thing. Download the PDF, solve it yourself, go to the video and check how I have done, what are the things you have probably missed out, and how you could have saved time in that data set. So what simple process है. ठीक है, तो चलो आगे चलते हैं. Okay, and आज we look at CAT 24 to slot CAT 24 2000 slot 3 data set. Okay. Okay, chalo, let's look at this set of data. The table below shows the amount in grams of carbohydrates, protein, fats, and other nutrients per 100 gram of nutrients in 7 food grains. The first column shows the food grain category, and the second column its code name. The table has some missing value, so it's a missing value table. That is very, very obvious. Okay, and then we have the statement. We'll look at that later. But let's look at the table. Food grain category, code name, and composition per 100 gram of nutrients in food grains. So what are the nutrients? Carbohydrate, protein, fat, and all other nutrients. So what should be the sum of all these? It should be 100. Why? Because it is out of 100 grams of nutrients, and all the nutrients are given here. That means the sum of each row is going to be 100. Okay, great. Now, many people say, yeah, yahan pe to all questions are theta. No choices. So how do I identify? Yeah, there's still lots to identify. Let me show what is it there to identify first of all. For example, question 1. How many food grains had high amount of carbohydrate? Okay. So we are saying for M1, you need to do for that. Okay, so okay, let me just erase this part and say. So what's question 1 telling me? How many food grains had higher amount of carbohydrate per 100 grams of nutrients than M1? So what do we need to do? We need to find M1 has 62 grams of carbohydrate. How many of the remaining have higher than this? What do we need to do? We need to find the value of the remaining one. So it is telling me, as far as question was telling me, as far as carbohydrate is concerned, I'll need all these values, right? Question 2. How many grams of protein were there in 100 grams of M2? 100 grams of M2, we need this value. Okay. So this value is what we need. So as far as the question 1 was concerned, we need this. Now, is this not common? So if I get one of these value, will not get the other also, because sum to 100 hai. So if I get this value of protein for M2, I'll get carbohydrate for M2, or vice versa. Okay, so ये बताता है कि M2 बहुत important है मेरे लिए, because M2 के base पे I can get 2 things. Okay. Third question. How many grams of other nutrients were there in 100 grams of M3? 100 grams of M3 other nutrients. We need this value for M3 other nutrients. And again, if we find this, we'll find this also. That means this is something we need to look at. So M2, MC are the 2 important items for us. Question 4. What is the median of the number of grams of protein in 100 grams of nutrients among these foods? What do we want? We want the median of all the protein values. So पहली चीज, fat important नहीं है ना. It doesn't matter if I don't fill up the others. It doesn't matter if I'm not able to fill up the others. Okay? So these are not important for me by and large. This is there, but fat itna important nahi hai. What is important for me? I need to know about M2 and M3. I need the value of carbohydrates and proteins. So this is telling me to limit my work to this much. Okay, this is my starting point. It is possible जब data set करने बैठेंगे, these statements might give us more information, which will tell us यार कि इतना भी नहीं काम करना और कम में हो जाएगा. ठीक है, चलो अब सॉल्व करते हैं डेटा सेट को. साफ कर दें इसको. हाँ नहीं कि अगली स्लाइड पे तो जाना ही ना. चलो समय आ गया है. And I'll again highlight. Question 1 is telling me we need to find how many food grains had high amount of carbohydrates per 100 grams of nutrients than M2. Question 1 is telling me please find all the carbohydrate values for all the missing carbohydrate values so that you can find the answer to this question. Okay. So this is what question 1 is telling me. I need 1, 2, 3, 4 values. Okay. What is question 2 telling me? How many grams of protein were there in 100 grams of M2? We need to find M2 mein how many grams of proteins are there, okay, in M2. And as I said, that means if I can find protein in M2, I'll get carbohydrate in M2. If I can find carbohydrate in M2, I'll get the protein in M2 also. So the question M2 बहुत important item है मेरे लिए. Third question. How many grams of other nutrients were there? How many grams in 100 grams of MC? So as far as MC is concerned, to me, this is important, other nutrients. And again, when I can find this, I can find the number of amount of proteins in MC also, because question 4, if you remember, we need to find the median of the number of grams of protein in 100 grams. So हमको क्या चाहिए? We need all protein values, all carbohydrate values. तो essentially ये दो चाहिए. ठीक है? चलो, let's now start reading. Statement 1. Both the pseudo cereals had higher amount of carbohydrates as well as higher amount of protein than any millet. Okay. So what is saying? Pseudo cereal, which is PC, PCs have more than millet of what? Carbohydrates and proteins. So for proteins also, pseudo cereals have more protein than millets. So first thing, both pseudo cereals had higher amount of carbohydrates. For carbohydrates, pseudo cereals are more than millets, and similarly for proteins, pseudo cereals are more than millets. That is what statement 1 is telling us. What is statement 2 telling me? Both these cereals had higher amount of carbohydrate than pseudo cereals. Okay? So what it is saying is, as far as carbohydrates are concerned, again, okay, cereals have more carbohydrate than pseudo cereals. Can we combine these two? Combining these two, what does it say? As far as carbohydrates are concerned, okay, As far as carbohydrates are concerned, cereals have more carbohydrates than pseudo cereals, which have more carbohydrates than millets. So I can erase this one. So both these statements have been combined, and as far as protein is concerned, we only know that so far pseudo cereals have more protein than millets. Okay, chalo. Okay, next question. Okay. Okay. Actually, tell me one thing. Look at question 1. Can we do something about question 1 now? What is question 1 saying? How many food grains had high amount of carbohydrates plus 100 grams of nutrients? No, all carbohydrates have higher than pseudo cereals and pseudo cereals than more than millets. What is the carbohydrates in millets? 62. If carbohydrate in millets is 62, then both the cereals should be greater than 62. And similarly, this P2 should be greater than 62. How many? 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4. And there's M2 also. Is M2 greater than 62? We don't know. So the answer will be 4 or 5 depending upon M2 whether it is more than 62 or less than equal to 62. If M2 is more than 62, the answer should be 5. If M2, okay, let me write it in this way. So the answer is 4. Answer is 4 if M2 has more than 62, less than or equal to 62 for the carbohydrate, and answer is equal to 5 if M2, the amount of carbohydrates in M2 is greater than 62. So at least इतना तो समझ आ गया है. अगर बाद में तुक्का मारना होगा 4 या 5 में से एक मार दूंगा मैं, but at least this much I know so far based on the little amount of work that we have done. Okay, chalo, let's go further. Next statement. Okay. All the missing values of carbohydrate amounts in grams for all food grains are non-zero multiples of 5. So what are the missing carbohydrate values? They are all non-zero multiples of 5. They are some multiple of 5k. So which I write in 5k. What do I mean by 5k? It could be 5 into 1, 5 into 2, 5 into 3. Can it be 5 into 0? No. It cannot be 5 into 0. Why? Because it says these are non-zero multiples of 5. So 1 is a non-zero number, 3 is a non-zero, 1, 2 is a non-zero, 0 is not a non-zero. No? So all he's saying is, yeah, ये 0 नहीं हो सकता. None of these can be 0. None of these can be 0 is what it is saying effectively. Okay. But yes, they are all multiples of 5, but none of them is 0. Okay. So that's one part. Okay. What about the next statement? Okay. All missing values of protein, fat, and other nutrients in grams for all food grains are non-zero multiples of 4. What is it saying? All the remaining, whether it is protein, fat, or other nutrients, all of them are some multiple of 4. Let's say 4m. And again, what are these? These are non-zero multiples. What does it mean? That means none of them can be 0. None of these cells, based on these two statements, statement number 3 and statement number 4, we can say none of the empty cells is 0. Because these are all non-zero multiples of 5 or non-zero multiples of 4. 4 into 0, 5 into 0 is not allowed. बाकी कोई भी natural number चलेगा. Okay? चलो. Question number 5. Sorry, statement 5. P1 contained double the amount of protein that M3 contains. P1 contained double the amount of protein that M3 contains. Let me assume M3 has A units of protein. So what will P1 have? 2A. Okay. Now let's go back. कौन सा statement पर? कौन सा which element or which food grain should we start with? Okay. I'll start with M2. Why with M2? Because for M2 I need the amount of protein. That is question number 2. And I need the amount of carbohydrate also because ये तो मेरे को सबका value निकालना ही है. So to me, a good starting point is not to fill up everything. वो भरो पहले, वो focus on that lower column first, which is important for you. So for me, the important rows are M2 and MC. पहले इनको करूँगा, उसके बाद कुछ और सोचूंगा. ठीक है? चलो. Now, what is it M2 going to be? What is these two going to be? Because the summation has to be 100. It is out of 100 grams. 100 grams of nutrients, and the nutrients are carbohydrate, protein, fat, and all others. So summation has to be 100. So if this is 100, okay, and I can say this is 5A. Okay, 5A use kiya na. Let's say 5x and 4y, right? Because these have to be multiple. So what can we say? You can say 5x plus 4y plus 23 is equal to 100. So can I say 5x plus 4y? Yeah, ऊपर लिख लेते हैं. 5x plus 4y should be equal to 77. Why 77? 100 minus 23. Okay. So यहाँ पे 5x plus 4y has to be 77. Now, please tell me, can 5x be more than 66? No. It has to be, because millets have lesser amount of carbohydrate than pseudo cereals. So that means 5x should be less than equal to 66. So what is the maximum possible value of 5x? 65. So if this is 65, 4y should be 12, right? If this is 65, 4y has to be 12 because the summation has to be 77. Okay. Okay. Can this be 60? This will mean 17. Okay. Now please tell me, is first one okay? If 65 plus 12, yes, it is okay. Why? Because this is a multiple of 5 and 12 is a multiple of 4. Okay. What's wrong with choice with the 60 and 17? Multiple of 5, not a multiple of 4. Also, there's something more. Can I also say this has to be less than 14? Because when I'm looking at proteins, when you're looking at proteins, pseudo cereals have more protein than millets. That means 4y cannot be more than 14. 4y has to be less than 14 because millet M2 is pseudo is a millet. The amount of protein should be less than that of pseudo cereal. This pseudo cereal P2 is 14, so this cannot be more than 14. That means this case goes out. Now, if 60 becomes 55, this will become 22. This will become even bigger. It will be still more than 14. So there's no way you can get it as any other case. So the only case which is possible out here is 65. I am removing this 5x and 4y now. 65 and 12. Okay. So 65 and 12 becomes this particular thing. Okay. Now, what will be the answer for question 1 be? Question 1, the answer will be 5. Because proteins, carbohydrate in M2 has to be greater than 62 and in M2 it is 65. Okay. So the answer for question number 1, we have found it to be 5. Okay. Because M2 has greater than 62 out here. Okay. Now, at the same time, question number 2, we have also solved. How many grams of protein were there in 100 grams of nutrient M2? 12. So we have solved 2 questions in one shot. Okay. Next. Third question, which now what is next we'll do? We'll look at question number 3. How many grams of other nutrients were there in 100 grams of M3? So we are looking at now M3. Okay. Now, again, if I look at this part, this ratio is there, A into it is given. Okay. P1 statement 5th said P1 contained double the amount of protein as compared to. Okay. Now, let us look at only M3 first. Okay. Okay. M3 first. This has to be, A has to be multiple of 4. Okay. So, or let me write down this a different way. This has to be 4A and this has to be 8A. Because as per this, P1 contained double the amount of protein. So what are the possible values? They can be 4 and 8. They can be 8 and 16. They can be 12 and 24 and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, first of all, 12 and 24 possible. Okay. Okay. Let's check. 8 and 16. Okay. Okay. No idea. Okay. Let's check. Okay. Let's start with 4, 8 and 16. Let's look at all 3 of them. Okay. Let's start with 4 and 8. Is 4 and 8 possible? What is it? 56 plus 4, 60, 60 and 12, 72. So this will be 28. Multiple of 4, okay. 66 plus 8, 74, 84, 16, multiple of 4, okay. But there's something wrong with this. What is wrong? What is, please look at M2 is 12. M2 has 12 grams of protein while P1 has 8 grams of protein. But what is the basic data saying? As far as protein is concerned, pseudo cereal should be more than millets. So that means as far as this 8A is concerned, 8A has to be more than 12. Right? 8A has to be more than 12. And 4A has to be, what is 4A? What will be the amount of millets? It has to be less than 14. So this has to be less than 14. Okay. So please remember the constraints are given out here. As far as the statement is concerned, as far as proteins are concerned, pseudo cereal should be more than millet. That means 4A has to be, okay, 4A has to be less than 14 and 8A has to be more than 12. Okay. Now please tell me, what are the possibilities for 4A and 8A? 4, 8. Okay. Because 8A should be greater than 12, so this goes away completely. Then 8, 16. 4A is less than 8, less than 14, 8A is more than 12, perfectly fine. Then 4, 8, 12, 24. Okay. Now what will happen if these are 12 and 24? Let's just look at these. What happens if these are 12 and 24? Okay. So what does it become? 56 plus 24. I'm just erasing this. What was it earlier? 56 plus 24, 90. This becomes 10. 56, sorry, 80, 20. Okay. Not 28, 20. 56 plus 24, 60, 70, 80. This becomes 20. Okay. What about this 66 plus 24? 90, 10, 100. This becomes 0. If P1 has 24 grams of protein, then fat will be 0. As per the statements, this cannot be 0. None of them can be 0. So even 12 and 24 is wrong. So what is the only possibility left with us? 8 and 12. 8 and 16. Right? So if this is 8, MC has 8 grams of protein. What will be the other nutrients in MC? 56 plus 20, 76, and this will become 24. So that means answer to question number 3 will be 24. Okay. And what about, okay, we can check that also if the required nahi hai, so we can leave it. Okay. Now what is the question left? We need to find the median number of grams of protein in 100 grams of nutrients. So we need to find only these two values. If I need to find only these two values, why will I worry about these two? I will not worry about this. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm highlighting in red some of the things jiska mere ko koi lena dena nahi hai. So don't waste your time. Okay. My suggestion is that you should not waste your time in this or this or this. ये भी नहीं चाहिए मुझे यार बिल्कुल नहीं चाहिए. This is a waste of time. What do I need? I need the proteins. Okay. I need these two values. In that process, I may need to calculate these two also. So my focus now should be ये बेकार की values छोड़ दो, इन 4 values पे focus करो. Okay. Now again we'll do the same thing that we did earlier. First of all, okay, I'll just erase पुराना कचरा हटा देता हूँ एक बार. Okay. Now let's look at any of these. Okay. Carbohydrate C1 has to be multiple of 5, protein has to be a multiple of 4. And carbohydrate has to be, carbohydrates in C1 has to be more than 66. So what are the possible values here? These two have to be, both of them have to be more than 66. So that means they will be more than equal to 70 because these have to be multiple of 5. Okay. Any constraints on protein? No. Protein pseudo cereal और millet का ही था. इनके बीच में रिश्तेदारी मालूम थी. Cereal का क्या मालूम नहीं है. But I know both these have to be multiples of 5. Multiples of 4. So let's start making cases. Let's say this is 70. Because we already have a 66 out here. So that means this has to be a multiple of 5 but greater than 66. So 70. 70 and 12, 82. This becomes 18. Wrong. Why? Because 18 is not a multiple of 5. Okay. 18 is not a multiple of 4. Sorry. Next. 75. And okay, so when we had 70 and 18, which we said are wrong. So next should be 75, but if it is 75, this will become 13. Yeah, odd kyun hai? This needs to be a multiple of 4, so you should not even be checking for 75. You should straight away check for 80. 80 and 12, 92, this will be 8. Perfectly fine. Satisfies. Okay. So 80 and 8 satisfy. You want to check others also? You want to do it? Or you can do it also. Next, we'll not check 85. क्यों? अगर 85 यहाँ पे आएगा, this will become an odd number. Protein will be odd. Next is 90. 90 and 12, 102 possible nahi hai yaar. Total is 100 na. So 80 and 8. Okay. Similarly, what about the next one? Again, this will have to be greater than or equal to 70 na. So let's start with 70. So 70 hai ye. 70 and 13, 83, 70. No, we need a even number and a multiple of 5. Multiple of 4 for protein. So this is wrong. So which should be next one? 75. 75 and 13, 88, 12. We got our answer. Okay. So don't waste time doing things which are not required. यहाँ पे क्या-क्या चीज नहीं चाहिए थी? All these other stupid blanks are not required. If you are calculating them, you are just wasting your time. Okay. So what is the answer now? We want to find the median of the number of grams of protein in 100. So median of protein का क्या है? What are the values? Let's start from the smallest to the highest. The smallest is 8. 8 to a 2 8s actually. Okay. Then we have 10. Then 12. Okay. 8, 10, 12. 8, 2, 10, 2, 8, sorry. 1, 10, 2, 12 also. Okay. 2 12s. Then 14 and 16. How many values are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What will be the median? Median will be the fourth number. If we have arranged them in order of increasing or decreasing order, the middle number, fourth. So the answer should be 12. Okay. So the critical thing out here was that if you looked at the information, the question, and you worked as per the requirement of the question, you will not do the full work. You will do half the work. You will not waste your time calculating the stupid blanks which are still pending here. आधा काम हो जाता है, इसीलिए always focus on what the question are asking for. ठीक है, चलो. And one before I close, another program available to you. If you want to be CAT ready, if you want to revise everything, even if you're starting from scratch, you can even look at this. But obviously, if you're starting from scratch for CAT 25 now, थोड़ा सा effort ज़्यादा डालना होगा. But if you have already started preparation and you still think you are not ready, of course, this is a program you should be looking for. Scan and enroll. Okay. Great. And if there are any other doubts which you have, you can always connect with me, and my phone number 9811155160, and my email ID is gp@careerlauncher.com. Okay. So that's it from my side. Goodbye. All the best, and we'll meet again next week.